Hello and welcome back to another DLC episode with me, Joey, from the Game Club podcast. This time we're talking about a genre of game that I don't know that we've ever covered properly on the Game Club podcast, and that is a racing game. Today I'm going to be talking about Rally Arcade Classics. As I said, it's a racing game, but I really wanted to thank our friends at Game.Press and the publisher NetK2 Games for giving us a review copy of this game. So the game itself came out in September last year, 2024, and it describes itself as a game that's really good if you're a veteran craving some really good old-style Rally Arcade games, or a rookie looking to take the challenge and race against the racing legends. The game itself aims to cater for all experience levels. There are a set of missions when you first start the game, very similar to Gran Turismo. There's a bit more like a license test where you need to complete X amount of challenges till you have your C grade license, and then once you do your C grade license, you can do a certain set of rally missions, and then you complete your B grade license, and then you can do more rally missions, and then you can do your A grade license, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of the thing you have to go through to unlock all of the content within the game. There are 48 tracks, which is quite a lot for a game of this size. But 48 tracks and 44 cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s and noughties for you to test upon these dirt roads. The game feels exactly as it says in the title. It feels retro. You start each track with a big timer at the top of the screen, and you have a set amount of time to complete the course you're on. Now, if you're doing the license missions, that can be 25 seconds. But if you're doing full races, that can be up to 3-4 minutes at a time. I think the longest I've seen was 4.5 minutes long. And it's presented, if you've ever played Colin McRae, it's presented in a very similar way where you are the driver and you have a direction person with you in the passenger seat. And their role is to tell you about the terrain that's coming up ahead, what corners are coming up, and how severe those corners are, etc., etc. Now, the game does a lot of things really well. If you enjoy racing games, but you want to pick up and play, I think this is a pretty good game, although what I did say about all of the game modes and how you unlock them will hamper your play experience if you wanted to just get right in and use the classic Subaru Impreza on some of the later tracks, because that stuff doesn't actually become available to you until you complete the A rank license test. I played this game for 3 hours, and in that time I managed to complete the D rank license test, the C rank license test, and 2 rounds of rallies. So it's not the quickest game to unlock everything on, but if you're willing to put the time in, I think there's a lot there for you as a completionist. The gameplay itself, rightly so, as a driving simulator, should focus on the racing portion of the game. And I think what they've done really, really well in Rally Arcade Classics is the drifting mechanic. Now, if you've ever watched Rally, it's all on boggy roads, dirt roads, etc. And the cars fly around and they drift really, really smoothly around them. There's sections where they have jumps, and all of this is familiar and seen within Rally Arcade Classics. But just be warned that the first hour or so, the cars that you have access to are not that powerful, so you won't be doing the really cool big jumps that you'd expect to see in a game that's focused around arcade racing. I really liked the way that the environments were tailored to the regions that they were in. There was snow levels in Finland, there was dirt levels in Spain, there was areas where you were on tarmac and on the side of cliffs. There was scenery that was had collision detection for your car, so if you were to get too close to the cones would fly off and break. It sounds a fairly basic thing, but I've played a number of racing games where everything you hit will treat you like a brick wall. I think that this game is good. It's not great. I think that there was a number of things that I really didn't enjoy about it. modern luxuries in racing games means that you can move the camera around, whereas Rally Arcade Classics really stuck you to 5 or 6 set cameras, and none of them felt like the right distance from the car for me, so I always found that quite difficult. Whilst the driving is responsive, really responsive actually, I found the person who was giving me the instructions, especially where there are more tight turns much closer together, the instructions would come as I was halfway around the corner, so they were not very useful. The audio in the game is fine when it comes to the car, but the audio for the spectators is the same 3 or 4 audio tracks that are just on loop. There are a number of modes in Rally Arcade Classics. So as I said, you've got the licenses, you've got Tour, where you do lots of stages of individual rallies. There's an arcade mode, where you go through old arcade challenges and you challenge yourself against live drivers. If you've ever played a Colin McRae game, for example, most of the time you are on a track by yourself as you are in professional rally. There is Rally mode, which is like the Tour, but broken down into individual stages, and I think the point in this game is to continually keep trying those stages and better your time. Each time you complete one of the stages, you are put on a leaderboard, and it's really clear where you are in the world ranking. With the lowest I managed to get on the one that I'd finished, something like 1,300, but there was 1 or 2 where I was in the top 40 in the world, and I think that feeling of satisfaction when you get that high was really to this game's benefit. Also, you have events, and the game itself boasts weekly and monthly events where everyone who plays them gets the same track, car, weather conditions, and you have to try and get top of the leaderboard. And then the last mode is Chrono, where you can choose the country, the track, the car, what time of day, and the weather conditions. And the point in this is you can give yourself as much or as little challenge as you would like to get round some of the more challenging or some of the easier tracks. Overall, I think Rally Arcade Classics is okay. Like I said, I'm not going to say it's great. There were some quality of life issues that I came up against. So when I was in the menu, despite being on a fully English language setting, when I tried to quit back to the main menu, the option came up in French. And whilst it didn't make much of a difference, it's things like that that make the game feel like it might still be in early access despite it being in full release. The game itself is on the Steam and PlayStation Store and is priced in English money at £16.75. I think for this game I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's good, it's serviceable. I might pick it up. It's a really small download. I might pick it up and play it again. There's better racing games out there. It's certainly not AAA, but it's certainly not a bad game either. Right, that's the review. Thank you very much for sticking with me. Thanks again to NetK2 Games and our friends at Game.Press for the free copy of the game, the review copy. And we'll catch you in the next DLC. Bye.